Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Posh Cat Eyes Unfiltered. It's yet another episode of Married at First Sight, and we are on episode 22. I'm calling this episode the Couples Retreat Week. And there's going to be a bit of the cheating scandal and more beach cat fight between the girls. I mean, we are episode 22 in, so it doesn't take long. You can only be camera shy for so long until you become a little less aware of the camera around you and just reveal your true self. So we are about to see the true characters and true colors of some of the couples on this show. Just going to reveal themselves and just, we get to see them and judge them accordingly. So there's a lot to unpack in this episode. I'm just going to try and brush through most of the headlights or highlights. We touch base with Dion, who is waking up to business as usual. And when I mean business as usual, he's alone in his apartment and still holding on to hope that Carolina will come back to him. Well, dude can only dream. Let's just leave him to be. Carolina, on the other hand, seems to be putting things together in a bag, or like she's trying to make a goodie bag to try for a fresh start. Now, for me, try is an operative word because I know that she's just putting up an act, and she was called out, during last night's episode. And so, what a way to, should I say, save face. She decided she was gonna empty her fridge of expired goods and take these gifts, which I am calling suspect, to Dion as her extending an olive branch for peace, or should I say reconciliation, whatever that means. But anyway, for me, I'm not buying it. Dion bought it hook, line and sinker. Poor dude, he literally can walk on, she can do no wrong in his book, despite the way she's sort of treating him on this show. I just feel she's put up an act, and very soon we're going to see how this plays out. I cannot wait to see how this plays out. Again, Dom and Jack, they're still recovering from the personal attack from Olivia from the commitment ceremony. And again, there's a confrontation brewing between this girl and Olivia. It's gonna be revealed tonight, guys. Let's just go. We'll flash forward to Olivia, who is envious that Dom is supposedly trying to be Queen Bee, which means she feels Dom is trying to take the reign and be, the main bitch in charge of the other girls, and she really doesn't like that because she wants to be head bitch in charge. And we're gonna see these two personality clash tonight. It's safe to say Olivia is a very nasty, mean person. Clearly, so clearly, she is just morphing into an ugly person. And I don't know how I can describe the girl that started off the show with body issues to now someone that's just trying to be evil and just be nasty to everyone. She basically still lashing out and feels that all of the pent-up frustration that she's feeling from her past is justified, and she's using that to pick on the other girls. It's gonna unfold tonight, and I'm gonna try and break it down as fast and as concise as I can be. Tamara waking up to a gift from her husband Brent, who referred to her by his surname. It has a nice ring to it, right? Tamara Vitoli or Vitolio. But I don't think Tamara took kindly to the idea of losing her identity. I guess Brent should have a rethink. Next, Samantha and Al. These two are on Rocky Road, guys. The Rocky Road highway to nowhere. Clueless Al is still very clueless, and a conversation ensued with Al not exactly making sense. Like, I can tell you, the conversation started, I didn't understand how it started, and I still didn't understand how it ended. Basically, he was just all over the place like a chicken with no head. He was just rapping left, right, would jump from one point to the other, and I couldn't make sense of what he was saying. Quickly escalated to a blame game devoid of, the real issues. And the real issue is why Samantha feels empty and feels unsatisfied in the relationship. Al is still too childish to even comprehend anything. She walks off, just because Al called her character or questioned her character, and that kicked off, guys. Selena and Cody, they're still making house, they are happy, and I hope it stays that way. Meanwhile, Kate and Matt, status quo is unchanged, or has it? They seem to be having a decent conversation. Seriously. They are having a decent conversation. I need to zoom in and direct my, light vision focus just to see what's going on here and how this is happening. I guess we'll be back to see how this unfolds for these two, if anything comes out of it, which I don't think it will. Mitch and Ella, on the other hand, are waking up to the sense of, purpose, given they've had like a tumultuous week, and they're putting that tumultuous week behind them, and they're deciding to embrace the experiment and the experience that they're going to gain from the experiment, and whatever depth, if any, there is between Ella and Mitch to grow and should I say find themselves or build or a long-lasting relationship. This is according to both of them, and I hope it comes to fruition for their sake. So it's a cheating experiment, as we all know. There's not a season where you don't get a wife swap or husband swap, someone, trying to cut another person's husband or wife. So Carolina is, front and center. She's the, should I say, the one that's going to be in an entanglement. She received a text from Daniel, the groom, who we also leave the show with his partner Jessica. And if you're keeping score, she's on her way to meet him. Daniel, the personal trainer from Queensland, is having a drink with Carolina, the feisty Latina. Compliments passed on here and there. It didn't take long before sexual innuendos were beginning to be exchanged, and it was just a funny conversation that they tried to hide. She decided to tell him that I connect with you in all of the ways that I'm looking for in a partner. I connect with you physically, I connect with you emotionally, I connect with you with food, I connect with you with gym, I connect with you with breakfast, I connect with you with reality TV. I mean, she connects with him in every way possible. An attempt at kissing was brushed off to a cheek peck, but we soon see them hiding in a in an alleyway, smooching, fondling, touching, butt grabbing, bum grabbing, and lip locking. It just, what can I tell you guys? Yeah, that's exactly what they have. The physical chemistry is obvious between these two. It's clear as day, and they are basking on the glory. And it was so funny that whilst these two were in their tryst, the camera was flashing to Dion, who was still holding on to hopes and feeling warm and fuzzy after the gift Carolina gave him. He's like, oh my god, this might work. This might become, the best thing that's ever happened to me since sliced bread. I just felt for the guy. Like, I know he probably will be watching this show now and literally will be doing this every time. Because it is so embarrassing for him. I feel ashamed on his behalf. It's just awkward. That's all I can say. So we get into the swing of things with the couples, heading to a couples or relationship retreat. I call it the couples boot camp because this particular task is set for drama. It is set to reignite chaos. Now, people who don't get along cannot be in the same space for a long time without clashing. Right? So that's exactly what it is. It's not a couple retreat for bonding like they say. Nah, it's a couples retreat for drama making. That's exactly how it's gonna get. You can't put people in the pressure cooker and expect it not to steam or blow out. That's exactly what happened. It's a retreat with good intentions, but I don't think it's not true. Scratch that. Producers see this as a gold mine that will deliver the content it deserves. Samantha is staying with Carolina. I really don't know how this is gonna play out. Obviously, she's having issues with her partner Al. So, yes, Dom and Jack found the secluded villa and are also happy to share with Tamara and Brent. The tension is already brewing between Olivia and Dom. Jackson seemed to be sucked into his wife's pettiness. I didn't really see this coming from Jackson because I thought he was the man's man and he was, he sold himself as the warrior for his mom and for his sisters, but here he is literally feeding into Olivia's pettiness and nastiness. But again, I guess when you're getting it from someone, you have to play by the rules, and he's literally playing by the rules. Dom has rallied the troops, and it didn't take long before her sexual appetite or lack thereof, comes to the fore. And while she was discussing this, her partner Jack was within earshot. He literally just stood there, eavesdropping on all that was said about him. I just felt so bad because he shouldn't have, stood there to listen in, because he knew this is about him, and he kept on listening, and it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't pleasant. I felt for the poor guy. He literally broke down, because not only the fact that he could hear them, the other guys in the show, the other couples, could hear her taking a dig at him, Jack. That Jack just then later called in the boys to, because they all heard what happened, to hear what they think about Dom's should I say revelation. They quickly advised him to go and speak with her in private, giving what was said was literally about her needs not being met. To the dismay of Dom, Brent decided to be the first one to break it to her that Jack has overheard all she said. She broke down and was upset and sad that, Jack heard all her rant or all her concerns. Emotional Dom will have to find a way to make peace with her man, and I don't know if there's any other apology, if there's any other apology that's going to come out of this. She's been delivering apologies from the beginning of the show. It's now beginning to not make any meaning or make any meaningful impact when you're apologizing over and over for the same behavior. I feel like they should try and fix whatever cracks that is existing between them, not just apologizing for repetitive behavior. It's now a consistent thing for Dom to complain about the lack of sexual intimacy or lack of quantity sexual intimacy. So Jack should start paying attention. She is very sexual. She's very sexual, and she says as it is. Jack, you should come to the table and try and meet her needs. It doesn't work when one person is constantly saying I want something and you're not, giving it, or you're not able to give it. It is what it is, guys. I guess we'll have to see how they try and get out of this funk that they have found themselves in. I feel for them because I like both of them. They have a good thing going, and they have always been able to communicate their way through difficult situations, and I feel they will be able to do that again. But hopefully, it doesn't become a norm, or it doesn't become a pattern for Dom to always bash her man in public. So with Dom putting her foot in her mouth and the backlash that ensued afterwards, you could see this was not going to be a good night for them. It was a recipe for a disastrous evening, and it did turn out to be a shit show. She was already livid from upsetting her man. She tried to have a conversation with her man. There was no headway, and then she then had to have dinner with the girls. It just it was like a pressure cooker that was just brewing and brewing and brewing. It was the ball stop was just inevitable, and it did happen. I don't know who came up with the idea, given the tension that exists among the girls, to have a girls' night and then separate the guys from the girls. I don't know, but that was just not a wise move, given that producers knew what was going to happen. There were clear signals, there were clear signs that it wasn't going to end well. The night wasn't going to go down well. Jack went into the boss night looking for ways to fix his relationship with Dom, and Dom, feeling very sensitive about Jack, it sure is a recipe for disaster amongst the girls. And Carolina was then planning an attack with Olivia on Dom. they were gonna have a should I say a call out, and calling someone out when she's vulnerable is not the best way to go. Um, it was just the takedown plan did not need to happen tonight. It was just wrong place, wrong time. She herself described herself as awful, bitchy, nasty, which is Olivia now. So she is preparing for this takedown. I'm glad she understands that she's got the self-awareness to understand the kind of person she is. And no surprise, I'm going to say good on you for owning your nastiness, Olivia. Good on you. The night is off to a fiery start. It is peace and good vibes on the boys' side. Al Childish as ever did not disappoint with his antics, rolling on the floor, jumping into the muddy pool. You know, it was just all the works. He gave it all. For the girls, the cat fight, it didn't take long before that start. Olivia decided to rub salt to the wound and talk about having an orgasmic sexual fest with her partner Jackson. You and I know she did not have that. I can tell you, she did not. Because when somebody tells you, oh, I had such a good, nah, you didn't know, you're just lying. So she did not, but she said that just to spite Dom, who's already feeling sexually stabbed in her relationship. She said it to make her feel shitty and make her feel, self-aware or to just have that self-doubt. And that was exactly what Olivia did, and it didn't take long before it went. She hit the fan. The commitment ceremony Buster became front and center, and Dom clarified her stance with Carolina. Carolina felt she was a bitch to her. Words were exchanged, confrontations went left, right, and center. Olivia decided, now is the time to strike, and she did strike. She did strike. Evil morphed into her. She basically raised her voice and it was a call out that was not necessary, and I didn't understand why. Like, I don't like your voice. I don't like the way you sound. I don't like the way you scream. I don't like the fact that you're trying to take on the group as the leader of the pack. You are not the leader of the pack. I am. Shut up. Sit down. This is exactly what happened. This was exactly like classic mean girl like situation. That is exactly what happened. It kicked off. Aggressive Olivia just kept on calling out another person's aggressiveness. I'm like, talk about the pot calling the kettle black, guys. It's obvious you are you are aggressive, and you are, should I say, instigating or pushing this other chick for a fight. Dom, who was already, at a heightened level of emotion, broke a glassware, and it just was a disaster from then on. I felt really uncomfortable watching today's show, because this is not violence for me, whatever form, verbal abuse. I don't tolerate it. It just stirs up things in my system, and I just felt, I don't think I should be watching this show. I turned off my TV, but not without hearing the fact that Olivia is a teaching student, and I'm wondering to myself, oh my God, God help the students this chick is teaching, because if the parents of the students are watching this show, they need to call that lady out on her behavior. That is not a good ambassador for teachers. That is not a good role model to kids. That is setting the kids she's going to be teaching bad example. Honestly, I don't want her on my screen anymore. I'm done with this chick. Anyway, it ends in a cliffhanger, guys. We will continue with the fallout of this episode, of tonight's episode, tomorrow. And all I can say is stay safe, and I'll see you soon with a recap of tomorrow's episode. Alright, bye.